We are live. That's interesting. What's going on, everybody? Here we are. Wednesday strategy show, July 3rd, day before the 4th. Still have one tomorrow, but off tomorrow night. Another 14-game slate going today. Last night, we had some less than fun outcomes in that Detroit-Chicago game. I don't want to do this to you, but I've got lineup study pulled up, and I have added you in the 150 max $11 hidden ball trick. And just to take a look at the overview quickly, I had this filtered to look at who the top scoring stacks were, but what I'm going to do is just sort by exposure. Again,
I had a really good night on DraftKings, as we'll see.
Sorry to do this to you. So, sorting here by exposure. Top exposed starting pitcher for one Ship My Money. 54.7% going to Matt Boyd. Are you allowed to use him as an extra starter today?
That would be nice.
That one's rough, man. That one's rough. I don't know what you do in that scenario. Like, I ate that game as well. Not as brutally, but I had a ton of Tigers. I assume there's Ronaldo Lopez coming in second or third in your exposures.
I had a lot of Tigers too.
Did you think about pivoting off?
Yeah. What it came down to for me was because we didn't get any news that the weather was bad until well after lock.
Right.
And I personally, like you and I have talked about it, I know how to late swap reasonably well, but not in a way that I think gives me lineups that are nearly as good as the lineups I submitted before any of the games started. And so I was kind of on the fence because, like, obviously on DraftKings, especially with the way that Boyd and Lopez were both priced, I would have just had to blow up like everything I was doing because there weren't really natural pivots at that same price point. On FanDuel, I considered getting off Lopez because he was basically the same, or he was a little bit more than Tyler Beede and Ross Stripling, so you could just global swap.
Yeah, and there's also no real reason to maintain like the risk of Ronaldo Lopez on FanDuel on a one-pitcher slate.
Right, except then I did because the game went into a rain delay, and the weather people were like, "Oh yeah, now it's fine." So, I kept him there too. But on DraftKings, it really just came down to it was like, the game probably will be good to go based on what everyone's saying after this rain delay. And that the risk there was kind of just worth it to me to keep it and hope for the best instead of knowing that I was going to just blow up my lineups.
Yeah, that makes sense. If there was a 10K pitcher yesterday on DraftKings, so $100 less than Boyd, do you think you would have just immediately swapped straight across the board?
Assuming it was someone that I thought was, good. Like if like Morton's game hadn't started and he was $100 less, then absolutely.
Okay.
Same for Corbin, same for Bauer. I mean, someone like that, if he was like the same price point, then yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it didn't even cross my mind, honestly. I mean, not
and actually.
Go ahead.
Once it went into a rain delay, I don't know if I would have or not. Prior to the rain delay, I would have.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about it and I was like, I just don't think this game's not going to play.
I kind of knew that it wasn't because I've been in that spot every single time there's been weather for the last 2 weeks now. But
fair enough. Just another odd day. There wasn't really like a blowaway performance. I just kept waiting for like home runs to be hitting my phone, and then they never did, or at least not in the volume that I was hoping for.
Yeah, it was weird because you had to have a couple specific players, but they were all on different teams. Like Evan Longoria, Rafael Devers, Brandon Lau was helpful. Adam Frazier was more helpful.
Yeah.
Also weird because they play the same position. Like Longoria and Devers play the same position. Lau and Frazier play the same position.
Right. Highest scoring stack last night ended up being the Giants. So 2 straight days of Giants going bonkers. Didn't really see that one coming. They were essentially unowned. Boston did really well early. I started doing my crunches last night. Wow, who were the last 2 lineups that came in? San Diego and somebody.
San Francisco.
Right. So I started doing my crunches before that because I knew that I wasn't going to get all that much, and it's pretty easy to just manually swap. So I had one lineup ultimately this doesn't end up in anything interesting, but I had one lineup that had Machado in it. So I was like, okay, I need to swap off of Machado. And I swapped directly to Devers. And then like 15 minutes later, I get the alert that he went yard. And then the second, like an hour later, I get the alert that he has the double dong. I was like, wouldn't it be some shit if I picked Devers and this was like the lineup that ended up working out and I had that piece of manual manipulation?
Yeah.
It didn't work out. So none of it matters.
No. Yeah, Boston was pretty frustrating for me yesterday because I think they were my highest owned stack on DraftKings. Actually, I know they were my highest owned stack on DraftKings, and I had plenty on FanDuel as well. Had 10% Devers, had like 20 on DraftKings, like 20% JD and bets, 15% Bogarts. So I had a lot of them, and they just kind of died out. But
in this particular tournament, you had slightly more Tampa, Boston,
okay.
and by like 3% in the aggregate. So could be anything in other contests as well.
Yeah, no, I mean that's probably right. I was just judging based on Martinez, Betts, Devers, and Bogarts.
I mean, the gap between Tampa and Boston and everybody else is massive. So
yeah,
they're very much the same top team. Top lineup yesterday: Royal Payne, Morton Lopez combo. Incredible.
Wow. I mean, it's not that crazy since one, he was 5,600, and two, he was really popular. That was something else that I talked about in Slack while we were trying to figure out what the hell to do with that weather. People were like, what are you doing with Lopez? I was like, honestly, I'm not even really thinking about what to do with Lopez. I'm trying to figure out what to do with Boyd because I know Boyd's low owned and he's taking up 10K of my salary. Lopez is popular and he's 5,600, whatever.
Right.
If he happens to get a 0, that was not even the lowest number in his range of outcomes anyway.
Right. If you're projecting him for 10, 0 is like super normal.
Right.
And that's why you can win $50,000 with a 0 Ronaldo Lopez. The only other real alternative there is you get an extra 9.75 from having Chase Anderson.
Or you find the money for Tyler Beede.
Right. That would obviously be helpful. An extra $600 for Tyler Beede.
If Tyler Beede had been like 5,600 also, I would absolutely just swap.
Yep.
Actually, I take that back. Before the rain delay, I would have swapped. I had that option on FanDuel and I didn't do it, so I can't say I absolutely would have. But the rain delay is really what screwed me on Lopez on FanDuel. Was just if they were going to get a second inning rain delay, I was going to global swap. But then
Royal Payne overcame the 0 from Lopez to win. Lopez isn't in another lineup until when is this? 14th. And he had a 4-point Buster Posey.
Yeah, but I don't have it in front of me. I'm guessing that means he has Evan Longoria.
Yes.
He probably has Donovan. Does he have Donovan Solano?
No.
Pillar?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like Longoria got you to. It's weird that he had Lopez and the Giants.
5-man Astro stack was the primary. 4, 5, 6 on the Giants in the secondary. So 5-3 stack with Morton and Lopez.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Used all but $100 of his salary.
I ended up getting fourth in one of the FanDuel tournaments, and going into the late games, it was like, okay, I probably need like the Cardinals not to go off. Like I can't imagine the Giants are going to be a problem. 2 out of the 3 teams that beat me are Giants stacks.
It's nuts. Morton, the key pitcher across the board. Although, let's see where we're at here. What number lineup is this? 12th place finisher got there with Tyler Beede and Adrian Wojnarowski. So there's also that. David Price Musgrove got there into the top 20, but
Musgrove ran pretty bad too.
Yeah. Chase Anderson, James Paxton got into the top 10. That's tough to do. You really need to nail hitting when you only get 20 points out of your pitchers.
Yeah.
Let's see what we had here. Vasquez at catcher. Got Gurriel, Altuve, Devers, Bogarts, JD, Brantley, Betts. Whew. Loaded. But yeah, kudos to Chuck Morton, 38.75, 30% ownership. Always fun.
Pivoting to a 0 is not a good move in that situation.
Not when he's 10-1.
Yeah.
It's okay when he's 5-6.
No, I meant off of Morton.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Because I mean, I had like 25% Morton somewhere around there, but I just jammed in a ton of Boyd.
yeah, it happens. I like Boyd yesterday too, and I don't normally like Boyd.
Yeah, I always like Boyd. So
And well, we're gonna talk today about somebody that you always like. We're gonna
sunny gray day
yeah, it is sunny gray day.
in a bad matchup once again.
They're all bad for him.
More importantly, he's at 9,200. So if I can just squeeze out one good start,
Okay, let's get into this. Let's hit the plugs first. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So if you are looking to check us out and want to see what we have to offer across everything, MLB, NFL stuff coming out, NBA, which is not super relevant right now, but Summer League is coming. We'll have that announcement later today. If anybody is looking to get their Fast Eddie Fear fix, rest assured he is coming for you for Summer League content. We've got WNBA, NHL, not so important right now, PGA, NASCAR, MMA, tennis. We've got it all. We've got it all. So come check it out. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. And as always, we are brought to you by Yahoo Sports. Dropping the link into chat right now to EMAX Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. In that article, you will find a link to Yahoo. If you sign up using that link, it's really helpful for us. It won't affect anything that you're doing, but it really helps us for tracking. You can use the promo code AWESOMO when you do that and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Yahoo's been running a $3 no management fee contest for the past couple of weeks. It's the best contest in the industry in terms of your profitability. You should be more profitable in that contest than in any other contest in the industry. So highly recommend you get into that. We have 14 games, man. It's time to get started. We have ownership. We do. Tom dropped ownership 3 minutes ago, so thank you for that. I'm going to load that up, and then we'll get moving. God, my nose is really itchy. I know nobody cares about that. It's always itchy? I don't know. I can't figure it out. It's like naturally itchy. Weird. Nobody cares.
try like lotion or something.
Inside, not outside.
I didn't hear your answer, but I really don't care what it was.
I said inside, not outside.
Oh,
Which obviously lends itself to its own problems on a video stream.
Yeah.
I don't need to be wrist deep in my nose for 2 hours. Stop being okay. Here we go.
I think we found our clip for Brett.
Great. Yeah, great. Great. That's gonna be a nice GIF. And if you call it a GIF, I hate you. All right. Timestamp is in. Pirates and Cubs 4.2. I don't even know if this total is real.
I'm gonna start calling them GIFs till you stop calling them lines.
Okay, no. I'm not doing this. They're lines. They're lines in a spreadsheet. I don't watch the damn game. It's a line in my spreadsheet. Very much so in baseball. Okay, so we still don't have this total. We don't have a lot of totals right now. All right, I made up 8.5. We'll see where we end up. Chris Archer and Yu Darvish. Archer, pretty popular on the two pitcher sites. 23% ownership on Yahoo, 21% on DK. Yu Darvish, 12% on Yahoo, 4% on DK. Emac, I don't know how you know that's your 200th article for us, but congrats. I wouldn't even know how to know that. What do you think about Archer here? What?
Dashboard. You can probably figure it out on Dashboard.
Maybe.
But so I'm seeing this total at 9.5.
Where?
Vegas Insider.
Okay. What sports book?
VI Consensus.
Okay. We'll go with it. Tell me what you think about Archer being chalky today.
Not a lot of strikeouts for the Pirates. An above-average offense in terms of production. Darvish's price tag has finally come up a bit. I mean, he does still give you strikeout upside. Like, he's a good strikeout pitcher, but we know that he gives up home runs and walks as well. I don't love it. Like, if I get to some, I think it's okay. Trying to look at my baseline numbers on him now. Have him at like 16 DraftKings points.
Okay.
So completely mediocre.
Who are we talking about right now?
Darvish?
Archer?
Darvish?
Yeah, I was talking about Archer. Archer's the one that's getting ownership.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure you said Darvish.
I mean, yeah, he's the other pitcher. I'm certain.
No,
I
I
certainly
thought you
said it.
said, how do you feel about Darvish at high ownership?
Oh no, Darvish is at 4% on DK.
Oh,
Archer is
okay.
at 21.
Um,
So unless you have, I wouldn't have expected any wild thoughts for you from Darvish. When you started talking about strikeout rate for the Pirates, I knew that something was going amiss.
yeah. Sorry. So kind of the same thing for Archer, like decent strikeout stuff, but a tough matchup against the Cubs. I have him at like 15 DraftKings points right now, which in the context of this slate and how little good pitching there is perfectly fine. But it's not good enough that I expect to be like jamming over the field if he's 20, 25% owned.
Yeah, I agree. I understand why he's getting that ownership. He's kind of like the sexiest play in that spot. But if he's going to separate from the pack that much, I'm just going to prefer to roster the Cubs bats. It's a lot easier to roster the Cubs than for me to play chalky Chris Archer. So how do you feel about you, Darvish? We'll snip that audio back in. Look, he's at 12% on Yahoo, only 4% on DK. He's expensive. I can't really see a reason why you would want to go to Darvish here. It's one of the worst strikeout spots in the league. Like, could he be good? Sure, but I don't need to spend $8,600 on DraftKings to figure that out. On FanDuel, Darvish is only $7,200. I think that's probably a little bit more appealing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I prefer Kyle Gibson in that range, but I think Darvish is more than viable. After Clevenger, and we'll certainly get to him, on FanDuel, I really think that every single pitcher is like not that great relative to their salary.
For a 14-game slate is rough.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you're going to be like, well, I have Sonny Gray at 67 FanDuel points, so he looks good at 7,600, but...
He does look good at 7,600, not as good at 92.
Sure. So let's talk hitting here, I guess. No ownership whatsoever going to the Pirates. Cubs are 13th on FanDuel, 12th on DK. I have them ranked a little bit higher than that. And if Archer is in the 20s in ownership on DK, I'm certainly going to be getting the Cubs as one of my top couple stacks, unless this total comes in at that 8.5 number that I had, not your 9.5, which I'm hoping for the 9.5.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. Archer does give up home runs. He walks a lot of guys. The Cubs have a good offense. It's, the top five are all pretty easy to get to. They're reasonably priced, not underpriced, I wouldn't say, except for Schwarber, but, not exorbitantly priced either. Schwarber individually would be my favorite bat here.
Yeah, I agree. What has he just been that bad this year that's why his price doesn't move?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, I don't know the answer to it either. I was that in Slack or on a show where you were talking about how like you have no idea what's going on?
I think it was on a show.
Okay. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, I couldn't tell you a single team's record. I have no concept of where anybody is for anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's non-existent information to me.
But it feels like Schwarber, I mean, and again, I'm pulling up his numbers now, but this is totally off of like, it feels like from when I roster him that he's not having a bad year.
102 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah.
So,
237 ISO.
Yeah. He's exactly what you would expect him to be.
A little bit worse in terms of overall production, but
yeah,
like his WRC plus and WOBA are a little bit low, but not bad.
Yeah, I mean, the last 3 years is basically his real career. 103, 115, 102. He's in the ballpark of it all.
Right.
Wow, he slugged 467 for the last 2 years. That's craziness. Not walking as much as you would expect. That's probably the real downside, but yeah, he just kind of is what he is.
He's walking in line with his career numbers. A little low.
I just meant 3% off of last year's rate.
Oh, yeah. What was your question?
I don't think I have one. This game's sort of just uninteresting for the most part, unless Archer maintains that ownership. I don't really have interest. I'm certainly not rostering Pirates.
Yeah, again, like Schwarber stands out. Adam Frazier, if he leads off at 3,600 against Darvish, is fine.
Yeah, and apparently it doesn't matter what Josh Bell's price is.
I mean, he's so good.
It's insanity.
It's always cool when like I always enjoy it when a guy is like a really highly touted prospect, and then he comes up and he's kind of like mediocre, and it's just like, oh, this is another guy that's going to bust, and then he just puts it together.
Yeah. 158 weighted runs created plus this season. 306, 380, 650 slugging. I like it. What is he getting like lucky or anything weird? Hard hit percentage? Did you see his hard hit percentage on his batted ball data?
No, but I assume it's through the roof.
Yeah, so he was 33% for basically each of his first 3 seasons. Like there was no variability in it whatsoever. This season, 48.6.
And his soft contact went down too. So it's not even like he turned medium contact into hard contact.
Yeah,
It's
not a classification thing.
What'd you say?
It's not a classification thing. Like it's not just like, oh, he has got a bunch of hits that were like mildly medium that are slightly higher.
Right. Like his medium percentage this year is 5 percentage points lower than his career average, but his soft is 7% lower.
Yeah.
And then his hard is just way higher.
So kudos to Josh Bell. Probably need to boost him manually because
fly ball percentage also up.
Right there is one person who is certainly not getting the boost to their natural. He's a guy that regression isn't helping in my model. All right, let's keep it moving, I guess. Blue Jays. Oh, I hate when I do that. Let's try this again. Blue Jays. There we go. And Red Sox. 3.5 run implied total for the Jays. 5.6 for the Red Sox. 71% chance to win for Boston. Oh, great. This should be fun. Jacob Waguespack going for the Blue Jays. That's definitely the first time I've ever had to say that one. Chris Sale going for the Red Sox. Significantly easier to say. Well, we're going to have to talk about it. Jacob Waguespack, 21% expected ownership on DraftKings. What do you think of old Wags here against the Boston Red Sox?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I get that he's 4K, but I don't feel like I need to take him against the Red Sox when there's a 4K pitcher going against the Orioles, too.
Yeah, I dramatically prefer the other one.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get to that.
I think that this guy might be better than Pruitt, but he's facing the Red Sox.
7.6 Ks per 9, 3.9 walks per 9, and a 499 projected FIP. Just throwing that out there for reference sake.
Yeah, it's not like we're talking about some like top prospect or something.
No. This is a really bad spot for him. That 20% ownership is going to probably be the most important thing that I keep an eye on. Red Sox right now, 3rd in ownership on DK, 11th on FanDuel. I mean, I want to get a lot of the Red Sox if he is 20% owned.
I want to get a lot of the Red Sox anyway. I would say there's no chance he ends up being that highly owned.
Yeah, I would agree. And I agree on the opposite side. I want to have the Red Sox one way or the other. They rank as my 5th best stack. So any additional bonus that I can get from leverage against a pitcher is certainly going to just boost them into the stratosphere. They're 11th on FanDuel. They're also 5th for me there. So I'm certainly liking Boston, but we're probably not talking about the elephant in the room, which would be Chris Sale. 40% ownership on Yahoo, $60. 25% ownership on FanDuel, 11.2, and 36% ownership at 11.8 on DraftKings. What do you want to do with Sale as the most expensive pitcher on the slate?
I'll be happy with however much I can get. I haven't projected as the top scorer, obviously, by like 5 points.
Yeah.
The mid-range on this slate being pretty weak makes it more likely, I think, that roster construction-wise, I'm willing to go like Sale plus Pruitt or something like that, because there's not a ton of opportunity cost in paying all the way up.
Yep. I'm with you there.
Yeah, the only thing is that, Strasburg is much cheaper against Miami. Buehler's cheaper. But Sale is just, so good, and it's not like it's a bad matchup against Toronto.
Strasburg?
Is he not?
Not on the
He was listed on Fangraphs.
Is he on the slate?
Oh, I guess
what time
not.
is that game?
I thought there was only one early game.
It's a 6:05 start.
Oh, okay, then ignore that. Oh, okay. So I forgot there was the doubleheader today.
Yeah. So there's the early game from the Tigers and White Sox to make up for the doubleheader from yesterday. Then they play again the real game at 8:00, and then there just happens to be a 6:00 start for the Nats.
There's not a showdown for that game, so I didn't even realize it was at 6.
Gotcha. I was like, my shit's all messed up.
I knew there was 14 games on the slate, and I knew there was a game early. And so I was just like, they have to be playing, but it's because the Tigers play twice.
Yeah. So what does that change for you for Sale?
Makes it even more likely I get the sale.
Agreed. Yeah, he's very clearly the top option. I mean, I guess I get a little nervous about some of the right-handed power, but not like it's taking me off of Sale. Do you have any interest in any of the Blue Jays bats against Sale?
Not particularly. I mean, with the caveat that Guerrero is still too cheap for how much power he has, but it's a pretty brutal spot, obviously. So, 14 games to choose hitters from. I don't really see getting to them against Sale.
Yeah, I don't disagree here whatsoever. It's going to be a really tough sell. It's going to be a real tough sale. I'm proud of that. Let's talk about Boston bats that we like. Surprise, surprise. Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, double digits in exposure, as they should be. I don't know. I guess the answer is that I like everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my answer. On DraftKings, they are all way too cheap.
Yeah.
On Yahoo, they're more reasonably priced, but they're still not overpriced. But, DraftKings, so this is a spot where you're going to see my expectation is that all day in Slack, you're going to have people saying, like, oh, I can't play Boston. They're, too chalky, blah, blah, blah. And it's just a reminder it's a 14-game slate. There is a game in Coors Field. They're not going to be that popular to where they're not really good plays at that price in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm of the exact same standpoint here. The fact that Rafael Devers is 4,700 and the most expensive Red Sox makes it really simple to want to roster all these guys. So I'm going to certainly do that. I'll have everybody for sure. I don't have anything else to say. They're the Red Sox. They're facing Jacob Waguespack. That should answer everything for you guys. Red Sox have the 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Maybe like the tied for the fourth highest run total, something in that neighborhood. Get yourself some Boston, guys. Get yourself some Boston. Keeping it moving?
Yep.
Alrighty. Did I do a Boston timestamp? I did. Nice. Ooh, that was good. Got a little nervous there for a second. Okay. Rays and Orioles. Let's talk about the real 4K pitcher. 5.4 run implied total for the Rays. 3.6 for the Orioles. A 69% chance to win for the Rays.
Nice.
Yes. I teed that one up for Laffy yesterday, and he let it go. Bum me out. Austin Pruitt going for the Rays. John Means, thumbnail icon today for the show. Mr. Means, 8,600 on FanDuel today. It's criminal. He's projected to go for the Orioles. Pruitt, 1% ownership right now in our projections. He is by far the guy that I want at 4K, and based on what we just talked about, he's the guy that you want as well.
Yeah, I expect I'll have a ton of him just because, I don't think he's a great pitcher or anything, but he is having a pretty decent year at AAA. He has a 24.8% strikeout percentage, just a 6.5% walk percentage. You expect those numbers to be worse at the major league level, but not to the point where you couldn't roster him at 4K. And he's also facing the Orioles, so that's a very favorable matchup. The game's in Tampa Bay, which is great. It's just really tough for a 4K pitcher it's really tough for a 4K pitcher to fail, especially on a slate like this where it's not like we have a bunch of guys around 8K that are going to frequently give you 25 fantasy points. So getting to Pruitt just opens up a ton of stuff for you, and I expect I'll be there a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't get him. Every piece of this is great. How long do you expect him to go in this game? Because I think that's a big piece of this. I put him in for 4 innings just so that I didn't go too crazy, and that was more than enough.
Yeah, I'm pulling up his minor league stuff now. June 26th, he threw 63 pitches. June 14th, he threw 90. So, I think what you did is reasonable.
Yeah.
I think that we probably get, my best guess would be something like 70 to 80 pitches.
Right. Yeah, it's been all over the maps, mildly stretched out, 2-inning jobs. He's all over the map. But they're not going to run him into the ground or anything here. I felt pretty good with 4. If I start putting in anything higher than that, it's probably going to get a little too ridiculous for 4K right. Austin Pruitt. So it felt like a decent balance.
But also it's worth noting, and this is again, obviously you don't want to go to him on FanDuel because he's not starting, so it takes away the quality start.
Yeah.
But like on DraftKings, he's 4K. He's coming in relief, which means even if he pitches, like it doesn't matter how many innings he pitches. If Tampa Bay is winning at any point when he's in the game and they don't relinquish that lead, you're getting 1x your salary right there.
Yep, 100%. Something that people probably don't think about enough. But if he throws 3 innings of solid ball and they're winning and don't lose it, he'll get the win, or at least he should get the win. Up to the scorer, I guess, but
yeah, technically, but
more often than not, he's going to get that win. And I'm in for it. So let's use the 21% Wagyuspak ownership as a reference point. Do you think you're more than that on Pruitt?
Yes.
So do I. Oh man, let me see if I could figure out if there's an actual pronunciation for that guy's name. I feel like I'm getting it right.
Sounds good to me.
No pronunciation. Straight out of University of Mississippi. That's not what I expected him to look like. He looks like a perfectly normal person, so it's not that weird. Any John Means for you? Orioles All-Star, John Means.
I mean, anytime you can get an all-star level pitcher at just $8,400, there's some interest. But no, not really interested here at $8,400. It is a good park. Tampa Bay gives you some strikeouts, but a very right-handed heavy lineup means strikeout numbers are much better against lefties than righties, as we would expect. I'm not getting the Means.
Yeah, but he's an all-star. Isn't he underpriced for an all-star?
Yeah, he should be 10K, but
well, you think a lot of pitchers should be 10K.
No, I just think Sonny Gray.
This John Means stuff has to end. You know what his Sierra is this season?
No, because I don't look at that.
Okay. What's his PCRA?
I think it's like around 4. Let me see.
4.7 in the CRA numbers today.
4.3.
Okay. 5.14 xFIP. All-star John Means. Man, that must make you feel bad as an Orioles fan. It must make Trey Mancini want to strangle somebody.
I mean, yeah, I'll say that's the thing that sucks is Mancini actually like deserves it.
Yeah, I don't remember who I was talking to about it, of just like how he ended up as an all-star. I was like, because when they made the rosters, they were like, oh, we need more pitchers. We have to take someone from Baltimore, so Means wins by default.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. Like, they have to take an Oriole, and they just it's easier to just throw a pitcher onto the roster, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, he has a 2.5 ERA, and people probably still like that.
Oh, yeah, like his, he's 7-4 for a terrible team with, an ERA that is fake. That'll get you there. Kudos to John Means. Let's talk about Rays bats. 8th in ownership on DraftKings, 17th on FanDuel. I like a couple of the Rays bats, but I'm going to say something that I haven't said a lot on this show. I'm not really that interested in targeting Rays against Means.
I am.
The fuck?
I mean, their prices are just insane. Like, we know that I think Means is good, and this park is, or we know that I think Means is reasonably good, and this park is not good for power. But you have probably two catching options that are really cheap, with Darno possibly at the top of the order, Mike Zunino with a ton of power for even less. Tommy Pham's affordable. Obviously, Al Garcia is affordable. Maybe not as a full stack, but they're certainly a cheap enough team that you get some upside going against Orioles pitching in general, and you can fit Chris Sale pretty easily with the pricing on Tampa.
Yeah, I'm more likely to get these guys just rotated through as one-offs, more so than like a full 5-man. Are they really playing 2 catchers?
I mean, their projected lineup that I'm looking at has Zunino and Darno.
Cool. Yeah, look, they're fine. They're hard to stack. Going catcher, outfield is kind of weird. Having 2 catchers on DK is also kind of weird. Who do you prefer, Darno or Zunino? If
Darno's leading off, then Darno.
Okay. Obviously, Zunino has quite a bit of pop. Not like Darno doesn't have pop, but Zunino definitely does.
There's also a good chance though that like if Darno is leading off and Zunino's hitting 7th or 8th or whatever, that Darno ends up being like 4 to 5 times more popular than Zunino, which would be insane.
16% Darno right now, 10 to Zunino. They're the two highest exposed hitters on the Orioles. Or on the Rays, rather. Austin Meadows, 2% ownership right now in the lefty-lefty matchup. He might actually be my favorite play of that if he's just going to get ignored.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. But there's just so many. I mean, he's an outfielder.
Yeah, that's very true. Any Orioles bats against Pruitt?
I think not individually. If you like full stacked, then maybe. But
okay.
I mean, if Cisco's hitting cleanup, he's a pivot off of D'Arnaud, but that's they're just not a good offense, obviously.
I'm doing everything in my ability to try to think of a really good Cisco joke there, and I got nothing. As soon as you said it, you could probably pause the video and watch like 2 seconds where you can clearly see like the gears turning in my head. I can't come up with anything. Yeah, I mean VR is the only guy that I have any interest in, and I'm good. One's not for me. Move on. Here we go. You gonna be okay?
Yeah, I think I can make it through.
Reds and Brewers. 5.4 run implied total for the Reds. 4.7 for the Brewers. 57% chance to win for Cincinnati. Sonny Gray going for the Reds. Julie Chassin going for the Brewers. Gray, 23% ownership on Yahoo. So apparently people are listening there. He is $36. 7,600 on FanDuel, 6% ownership. 9,200 on DraftKings, 3% ownership. I'm starting to think that you just reached out to someone at DK to price him up.
No, I mean, I kind of wish they hadn't because I don't think I'll be getting to a lot of him on DK, and I like to roster him. But fortunately, July just started, and so now I can play on FanDuel also, and I can roster him there.
You're not going to get to him at 92?
I wouldn't expect to get a lot. I mean, maybe some just because he's, pitching is not very good, and he's probably not going to be popular at that price tag. But my baseline projections have him at like 17 DraftKings points, which probably doesn't get me to a lot at 9,200.
I've got him at 13.3.
Yeah, I have 16.5 actually.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it feel closer. When you said 17, you could have, like, I just assumed it was 17.9.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like this chasm between the two of us.
No, I mean, I have him as my 5th highest projected pitcher. Or sorry, 4th highest because Strasburg's not on the slate. So I have Sale, Buehler, Clevenger, Gray as the top raw scorers.
Okay. Sale, Buehler, Clevenger, Gray. Well, I mean, you got the first three, right? All right. Well, then talk a little bit more about him being 6% owned at 7,600 on FanDuel. Because this is clearly like a scary matchup.
Yeah, it's a very scary matchup. Milwaukee has a lot of power bats in their lineup, no question about it. But the one thing that is appealing here, or makes it a little bit better, is that most of the power bats in this lineup are left-handed, and Gray has actually just been lights out against lefties this year. 282 expected WOBA, 152 expected ISO, 31.6% strikeout percentage against lefties. He's just been really, really good against them. He's been good against righties too, but I'm really racking up strikeouts against lefties. So that helps a bit. It's still terrifying facing this team in this park, but at that price tag, like what it kind of comes down to is if you look at PCRA numbers and you look at the guys around him, like if Giolito or Greinke or Castillo or Syndergaard or Carrasco or Kershaw or Caleb Smith or Marquez were 7,600 in this spot, everyone would be lining up to play them. But because Sonny Gray had a bad season or season and a half or whatever it was for the Yankees, people aren't going to do it.
Yeah, pretty much. Give me Kyle Gibson in this range. I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. I honestly, like, ignoring any thoughts on Sonny Gray, this is a really, really, really terrifying spot to want to grab him. On a day where I have a hard time wanting at least on FanDuel, I have a hard time wanting anything that isn't one of the first three guys.
I also thought it was a terrifying spot last time, and he just went and struck out like 800 Cubs. So
yeah, very quickly, I might add.
Yeah.
Any Chassin?
No, I don't really see the need with Pruitt on the slate.
Same. Reds bats are 6th in ownership on FanDuel, being pushed up quite a bit by Derek Dietrich, projecting for 26%. They're 18th on DK. Brewers are 14th and tied for 13th on FanDuel and DK, respectively. Am I crazy for wanting to have like a bunch of Brewers here?
I wouldn't say crazy. Obviously, I think that it's a less probable spot than you do, I would assume. But the ceiling is still through the roof when you're talking about the amount of power Milwaukee has and this park.
The ceiling is the roof, man. Talk to Michael Jordan. Highest owned guy on DK is Grandal at 8%. On FanDuel, it's Braun at 6%. I just need to have a little bit more of the Brewers here, regardless of who is on the other side. Like, it's just, if they're not getting any ownership, I have to go here. They're all sub 5K minus Yelich, and his price is exactly where it should be. I'm cool getting Grandal. I'm perfectly acceptable with Moustakas, with Thames, with Braun. I'm just going to have these guys, but I'm high on the Brewers almost every day. So
yep.
The Brewers are my Sonny Gray.
All right, well, the Brewers have been like league average this year, and Sonny Gray's been great, so I win.
You win nothing. You win nothing. You win when his price hits 10K, which, I mean, if he can get to 9,200 at home against the Brewers, you might be in spitting distance.
Yeah, I wonder who he faces next start.
Who's coming up next for the Reds?
He'll lose all his pricing momentum because of the All-Star break, though.
Oh, he's not an All-Star?
Oh, I meant DraftKings would like reset to 8K or something.
I was just making a joke about how he's probably not an All-Star.
I'll say I don't know if he is or not.
Okay, so the Reds will be home here, so, well, hopefully he avoids those Coors starts. Not going to get it there. At Chicago could be good. It's not great from the team perspective, but if you get one of those like 30-mile-an-hour blowing in days,
yeah, certainly a chance.
They don't have a lot of like interesting, like good spots for him coming up. Pirates are a bad spot.
He's definitely pitching in Colorado.
Perfect. You need, oh my God, they don't play anybody shitty for a while. Home against the Padres. Like, when do they get the Giants in San Francisco or something?
They get the Rockies in Milwaukee at the end of the month. I mean, in Cincinnati, whatever.
I was like, what do we got going on here? All right, let's keep it moving. I don't think we have anything. Do you have any Reds bats that you want to point out?
So, I mean, Dietrich, you mentioned Dietrich. I think Scooter Gennett on DraftKings is a good play at 3,900. The thing that makes the Reds difficult to stack is that on DraftKings and on Yahoo, you can only get a maximum 2 out of Joey Votto, Scooter Gennett, and Derek Dietrich. And we know that left-handed bats against Chassin are what you really want. On FanDuel, it's easier because you can, roster Votto at first base, one of the second baseman at second base, and one of the second baseman at utility.
Yeah.
So easier to stack up Cincinnati on FanDuel. Plus, they're more favorably priced. But Scooter Gennett, assuming he's batting cleanup, is probably my favorite bat here.
I'll take Suarez, but we're not far off. These guys are going unowned on DraftKings. I'm going to have some Reds. I've got a pretty big gap between their ranking and where I have them. Let me see if I have a color on that. I know
Chassin's actually allowing power to righties this year too, which is surprising.
Is it?
Yeah.
Surprising?
Very surprising.
Okay, now you're doubling down.
I mean, last year he allowed a 106 ISO to righties. The year before that it was 101. The year before that it was 110.
I was just kind of coming at it from a perspective of when it goes for him, I expect it to just go.
Oh, sure, yeah.
He's not going to like casually retreat into being garbage. He's hanging on by a thread to begin with. So between my ranking for the Reds on DK and where we have them ranked in ownership, I've got an 8.4 ranking spot gap, which is the highest number on the slate. So I think the Reds are going to be a spot that I have significantly more than the field of.
Yeah, I don't think I'll have a ton just because the guys that I really like I said, I can only get 2 of them.
And let me be clear, when I say significantly more than the field, I mean it relatively. We have the Reds at like 2% aggregate ownership for today, which is less than average. If I get to 6, I'm super happy with it, but it's not like they are dictating my slate either. All right, Mets and Yankees. Mets 4.3 run implied total. Yankees 5.2, 59% chance to win for the Yanks. Jason Vargas going for the Mets. Domingo Herman going for the Yankees. No ownership going to either pitcher. Herman just strikes me as a little too expensive. A lot too expensive on DraftKings relative to who else is at the top. He's fine on FanDuel, and I certainly don't want Vargas at. Jason Vargas is $8,000 today.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I mean, I'm not rostering him, which means I'm just not going to win the slate, I guess.
8K against the Yankees. It's good that they don't have right-handed power.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not rostering pitchers here, at least on DraftKings. Do you have any interest in Herman on FanDuel or on Yahoo?
I mean, so he only threw 65 pitches in his rehab start on the 27th.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the Yankees just bring him out and run him into the ground. Like, I think he has really good stuff, but I just expect him to be limited enough that I'm not really getting him anywhere.
I'm with you. And he's impossible to play on DK. You can't play him at 10-1 today.
Yeah, exactly. 8,100 on FanDuel is fine. The concern there would be that if he gets you 6 innings, that would be kind of surprising.
Yeah.
And that's what you need for the quality start. On Yahoo at 45, it's not super expensive, but it's still just not really a price that I feel like I need to pay.
I don't disagree. He's just another guy in that area. James Dixon, your stream is pausing a lot. It sucks. I mean, you could just be nice about it if you wanted to. You're the first person to mention it, so could just be helpful if you'd like. Well, clearly we're not rostering Jason Vargas, so let's think a little bit about bats here. Not a lot of ownership going to the Mets side outside of Cano on DK, who continues to be ridiculously priced. Yankees are 9th in ownership on DraftKings and 19th on FanDuel. How do you feel about the Yankees here?
I love the Yankees here.
Yeah. Why are they unowned on FanDuel? Is this a roster construction thing?
Well, on FanDuel, it can't really be that much of a roster construction thing because you can do whatever the hell you want.
They have no one is more than 2%.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because the Reds are super cheap and you have cores. I don't know, but I like the Yankees. Like their implied run total is lower than I would expect, which scares me. But at the end of the day, I just still don't believe that Vargas is any good. His changeup is a good pitch. It's been very effective this year. It has almost a 20% swinging strike rate to righties. He's allowed no power on it. But outside of that, he has nothing else. Overall, his expected ISO to righties is 30 points higher than his actual ISO. His expected WOBA is about 24 points higher than his actual WOBA. He's still only striking out 19.5% of righties. So overall, they're still making contact. I'll take my chances with how much power there is in this lineup.
Okay. We're going to take a brief break since apparently we're having a lot of in and out stream issues. So I'm going to restart the stream. Give us a minute or two and we will be right back. If this comes, we're going to end up on a different link, folks. So if you are in the YouTube chat right now, go to the Awesemo YouTube channel. There's going to be a new link when we do this. But if everybody's going to have so many issues, we're better off just stopping and restarting again. So we'll be back in a minute or two. Bye.